Hello, and welcome to another edition of Innate Health, Creating Healthy Communities. I'm the host, Judy Sedgman, and I'm really excited today because we have something wonderful to share with you. If you've been watching the program, you know that we've had a lot of people from all over the world who have joined us and talked about their how they present this work and how they interact with their client base or their populations. But today we have something really special because we not only have two people that are responsible for bringing these programs to a population, but we have four beautiful young women who are going to talk about how their lives were affected by this work. And I think that that's always such a wonderful experience for people to really hear from someone who has had an experience that's really made a difference to them. So the program is going to have a sort of two parts. I'm going to start by talking to the two people currently most responsible for keeping this program alive in the Hillsborough School. And then I'm going to take a brief pause and we'll bring the girls up. So I'm going to start by introducing my very special guest, Kimberly Porter, who is the program coordinator for the Cypress Initiative for Wellbeing in Tampa. And it is an institution that's strictly based on bringing these innate health ideas to the public. And Kimberly had a very powerful vision that she really wanted to help young people. And so she has been working to develop the program that we're going to be discussing for quite a while. And then I'm going to introduce Alicia Edwards, who is the program advisor at D.W. Waters Career Center in Hillsborough County, and she is a driving force behind keeping the program alive. So Kimberly, if we could start with you. Sure. The idea sort of came out of your experiences and your desire. You have, growing children yourself, and you had a real desire to see young people have a much more beautiful experience of life. So tell me a little bit about how you first conceived of it and where you wanted to go with it.
During the 2011-2012 school year, prior to that in the summer, I had two sons that were attending Blake High School, which is a high school in West Tampa. A very diverse population of students, and surrounded by three housing development areas that were considered low income and underserved and underserved populations. And the intervention specialist at that time was Coach Muldrow, and he saw the impact that he dreamed of the impact this could have on the female students, and they have a Blake Brotherhood there at the school, so he saw that there was a need for more programs for the female students. And so as a result of the professional relationship and also as a parent of students at Blake, and knowing about our work in the community, asked if I could put together a program, which I did with a co-worker and a board member, Callie Bacor. And so we wrote the outline and presented it to Blake, and Coach Muldrow helped us implement it the first year, 2011-2012. With a select group of students. We had 3 different classes, and the capacity could be up to 25 students per class. And it was volunteer on the students' part, and they attended during their lunch. So they were sacrificing their lunchtime to come to our class.
And it was called the Spark Inside?
Spark Inside Mentoring Program, and the acronym is SIMP.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Spark Inside because it kind of does speak to what we're waking up in people, is that spark of, oh wait, I'm okay, I can do things. And so as a person that was sort of in those initial moments of the program, what kinds of surprises did you face when you started actually meeting with the people over lunch?
Well, actually, it was less challenging than I had anticipated. I found that the students were very refreshing, and some of them were already operating from such a high level of consciousness that they were actually helping Callie and I see things even at different levels at times. We went in with, even though we had the agenda, outlined for the school purposes, we actually went in with no real agenda other than to build rapport with the students, to get to know them where they're at, and we didn't want to over talk about any challenges or adversities that they thought, but we wanted to introduce them to the 3 principles and how those principles can help change just their view of those situations they might find themselves in. So.
Now, just to remind our viewers, we have some regular viewers and probably some first-time viewers. So the 3 principles refer to the inner logic of human psychology and the fact that we actually create our experience from the inside out because we use the energy of mind to create thought and then become conscious of that thought. And that looks like reality to us. So those are the simple logic that is always presented as a basis as we start these programs. And so then how did you get together with Alicia?
Well, the first year at Blake was a huge success. And through one of our programs that was offered to early Head Start providers that went to a training that our organization sponsored, actually worked in the daycare at D.W. Waters Career Center and told the principal, Miss Knight Morgan, about this program that she had taken. And so from that point, she contacted the director of our organization at that time, and him and I went out and met with Miss Knight Morgan and Miss Edwards, and that's how
that was the beginning.
That
so
was
Alicia,
the beginning, yeah.
What appealed to you about this program when you first heard of it?
Initially, when I first heard of it, was the passion that Ms. Porter brought to the program. I was invited in by our principal, who brought me in to speak with this young lady who had this idea that she wanted to share with our students, who are a very unique group of students. And as it turned out, the program, the Spark Inside, turned out to be just the type of unique program that they needed. We at D.W. Waters Career Center, our principal is Veronica Knight Morgan. Again, our students are a little different in that they follow not the traditional path toward high school graduation, but they are involved in careers. So when the idea was brought that the students would learn from the inside out and the usage of the thought of what they are to do, it appealed to me in that I figured out that in the workplace, many of our students have no idea, but there's a particular story that I'd like to share if we have enough time a little bit later. But through the Spark Inside and through the meetings and through the programs and through the experiences, one of our students showed to me that indeed they had grasped that idea and the Spark Inside. And one other quick little thing, I love to hear the students at our school have now turned the name of Spark Inside to Sparkle Inside.
Oh, my goodness.
And I thought that that was quite befitting. Either or works, but that Sparkle Inside just lets us know that they have indeed grasped the idea.
They really see how to shine.
Yes, indeed.
So did you have a story that you wanted to share?
Well, it's a story of a young lady who you'll probably get to meet a little bit later, but just to show how life-changing experiences through the Spark Inside has really changed the life of one of our students. She was kind of rough in the beginning of the school year. And when I say rough, I mean probably not thinking through some of the things that she needed to think through. But she's one of my most favorite students in the entire school. She was involved in our allied health program, whereby the students were indeed given the opportunity to do internships in the community. She worked at a particular elderly center. And she came back and the first day told the story of how, Miss Edwards, I was cursed out. This old lady cursed me out. But thankfully, she had been involved with Spark Inside and learned the techniques of stopping and thinking and using those important thought processes to understand that I will not retaliate. I will think about this thing. I will calm myself down. I will walk away, and then I'll allow the patient to calm down. And it was just such a great indication of what
What a
spark
gift.
inside, and what this young lady had pulled from the program. It was just phenomenal.
That is a gift, that the
yes,
ability
indeed.
to be able to see that other people's upset is really their thinking, not mine.
Absolutely.
And what a beautiful story. Thank you very much.
I love it.
Well, actually, we have introduced the program, and I want to give most of our time to the young ladies. And so I want to thank the two of you, and we're going to take a very brief pause, and then we'll introduce you to the 4 young women whose lives they'll share. And we're back. And now I'm pleased to introduce to you these 4 young ladies who are all graduates of the Sparkle Inside program, as they are now calling it. And so immediately across is Carlene Charles, Sydney Jones, DeQuavia Glover, and Brianna Leggett. And I really want to welcome you all and thank you so much for giving us your time today, because I think what you have to share will inspire a lot of young people, not only locally but around the world, who watch this program. So I'm going to start with you, Sydney, since we've sort of met before. We met on Skype. When you first went into this program, did you have expectations? Did you have any idea what it was going to be like? You know, what was your first impression?
My very first impression was at lunch, and Miss Kim Porter was at a table set up, and she was like, we're starting a new group called The Spark Inside, and she had this big candy jar. So everybody went up there and got a piece of candy and was like, hey, you guys need to go up here and sign up for this group because she's giving out candy. Little did I know, like, my life would change, but my first impression was like, oh, she's cool, she feeds us, so.
Yeah. Well, that's the way to everyone's heart, for sure. And so when they started talking about the ideas of this program, I'll ask you, Carlene, did anything register right away, or were you kind of thinking, what is this?
I sort of knew what it was from the person who brought about, Coach Mojo, the coordinator part of this program. So it just sort of, for me in that moment, I was sort of looking for motivation, inspiration. Like, I'm the type of person that has to seek positiveness, and so, like, I just saw these 2 older women, I needed to be mentored, so that's what drew me closer, and just to see my other friends join as well. Yes. It's told me to, like, hey, I should be part of it too.
So when you say you thought you needed inspiration and motivation, was there some special reason for that? Did you feel like you weren't reaching goals that you were looking to, or what was behind that?
I guess it was sort of what I was going through at the time, just situation, issues at home, or just like in my personal life in general, and like my insecurity. So I was just seeking for some help. I wasn't really expecting what to get out of it, but just I knew I had to go seek it.
Yeah. So and so, DeQuavia, how about you? When you first got into the program, did you have thoughts about what might happen, or?
Not exactly. At first, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I figured, like, wow, okay, walking into this room, there's hardly no one here, and I was like, you know what, this is not for me at first, but I'm just gonna do it just to do it because Coach Mojo wanted us, to come in there. So right.
So what turned that around for you?
Miss Callie and Miss Kim, especially Miss Callie, when she basically came in the room and telling us like how, like, she's basically down to earth.
Yes.
So I'm like, oh, okay, this maybe could work. And then Miss Kim, she came out and telling us too about, different stories about her background. It's like, okay, this is not, some preppy, adults coming in here telling us, okay, what they want us to hear.
Yes.
Down to earth, they telling us what's real, and they want to get to know us and help us really.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and Brianna, when you got involved at first, what was your first impression?
I started out at Blake. I was a former student at Blake. I was there, and like we was always just sitting in lunch, not doing nothing. So one day I saw when they were passing out the candy, like she said, and I was like, oh, they're giving out candy. I want some candy too. Yeah. So I just went up and I joined, and then when I went to the class, I was like, what is this supposed to be? Yeah. So then, like, I started coming in. I used to always sit in the back because I was so shy. I didn't want to talk to nobody. But what really drew me more into that is because they made you feel wanted there. They made you feel welcome. They made everybody feel like family there.
Wow.
And you can talk about any and everything, and you won't have to worry about none of the girls telling your business. You don't have to worry about Miss Callie or Miss Kim going to say, oh, this and this happened. No, it stays inside that room, because they said what's happening in that room stays in that room. So I liked it that. And when I left Blake, I was kind of upset that I had to leave because we wasn't done with the program yet.
Yeah.
So I went to D.W. Waters, and when they came there, I was just so happy because it's like they came there for me because they knew I had some more to tell them.
Yeah.
So
That's exciting.
yeah.
So you're going to rejoin.
Yes.
That's terrific. That's terrific. So what would you say, and you can answer in any order, we'll just start with a question. What would you say is the most important idea that you took away from the program in the beginning? What kept you coming back, and what idea did spark your thinking about this program?
Thought, like, you know, I have the book right here with me. So,
show it, yeah.
So from the beginning, they passed out these books, but honestly, most of the girls did not read it. But I found it important to take time, you know, just to open and look at it. And most of the stuff that was revealing was about thought. And, you know, I never look at things like that. You know, why am I mad, or why am I thinking this way? And like I said earlier, I was suffering some insecurities, you know, thinking that, you know, I just hated high school. I didn't like coming to school and stuff, but I didn't always show it. But, you know, I had to be there to get my education. And joining this program just revealed thoughts to us, and how I remember watching this one video where it explained how the girl was saying how, oh, she didn't like how her boyfriend talked bad about her, but it was all because of what he said, but it's not like she was ugly, or how if you in a situation and you're angry at someone, it's about, you know, what you're thinking. That person may not be mad at you, or how you may analyze the situation. So, and it makes you more powerful to just, when that certain things revealed to you, it gives you more control of how to control any situation or your lifestyle or anything. And that's what stood out to me.
That's really interesting, because that idea that, oh my gosh, my thinking is creating the experience I'm having. It's like nobody can make me have an experience. I think that's one of the most powerful experiences that almost everybody I've ever talked to, that was like something that struck them and they thought, I never knew that. You know, it's like, it's not because it's true what people are saying, it's because I think it's true, or because I take it on and think it myself.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I have a story on that, about what she was talking about.
Okay.
With thought. It was a situation between me and one of my family members, my sister. Okay, one day I guess someone went inside her room and took something from her. And because I was the only one around at the time, she thought it was my place to go in there and take her stuff. So she was getting all loud with me, like trying to fight and everything like that. So I thought about the situation, and I was like, what am I getting upset for when I know that that's not what happened? I was thinking about what was the situation and what really was going on, because I'm like, okay, if she calmed down, she can really know what the situation is really. So I walked away from her, let her calm down, and we talked about that situation. And when she found out what was really going on, she apologized and everything, because I didn't take further actions in going back and trying to be back mad with her, because I know what the situation was.
Yeah, that's a wonderful story. You know, just think how different family life would be in a lot of families if people didn't just get angry to get angry. You know, if they could step back and think, well, wait a minute, you know, she's upset. People talk out of their upset and they say crazy stuff when they're upset, but you know, if we both calm down.
Upset and saying more stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. My story, I would say before I joined Spark Inside, I was very shy. Like, I have, you know, been through so many things throughout my life situation. I lost my brother over a year ago, around the same time I think Spark Inside started. And I didn't want to, you know, tell anyone, because I felt like I was the only one going through these situations. And when I joined Spark Inside, I sat in class, you know, listening to what other students said and what Miss Kim and Miss Callie was saying, not saying anything, felt like I didn't have nothing to contribute to the program. But when I heard like other girls speak and everything, I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm not the only one. And it was so many times I wanted, you know, to come out and say my story, but I was so hesitant in saying it, because I felt like, well, maybe the girls gonna look at me differently or something like that. But as you know, Miss Callie and Miss Kim, you know, basically preached to us like, well, you know, we're here not to judge you all. We're trying to help you. We're not going to, you know, judge you or tell you anything differently. So it was basically like we were the ones telling them, you know, saying what we were going through and how they are helping us and how we took it upon ourselves to come together and build, you know, the Spark Side to where it's, you know, where it's at now. Miss Callie, Miss Kim really didn't do much, you know, they didn't do as in, okay, this is what you all need to do, or this is and that. It was like we all came together as a friend, and they allowed us to come together and talk to one another and build each other up. So that's when I came out and started telling my story, and I saw how much of an inspiration it was to others that I was dying to help, you know what I'm saying, just dying to sit here and talk to others. So girls would come to me like, yeah, what about this? Or what about this, have this situation here? And I'm like, well, okay, this is what you need to do. You know, so I've been through that, I've done that, you know, so this is what I did to help myself. And I went off, I graduated, went off to college, changed my major about 5 or 6 times. So I found social work because I love kids and I love to help others too. And I see how my life was, and I don't want anyone to, you know, really go through that. I can't control what they go through, but, you know, so I want them to understand that, you know, you have, you know, opportunities in life to really, you know, change who you are and not, you know, look at, okay, where you came from. So when I came back on break, on winter break, I called Miss Kim and Miss Callie. I was like, can I speak, you know, guest speak and everything, you know, to the school and everything. I was like, sure, sure, come on, you know, come in. So I spoke at Blake, and I really did love it. And then I spoke at D.W. Waters, and where she was at. So, and then she come back to me, she was like, yeah, you inspired me to go to college and everything. And I was like, oh, wow, are you serious? And she was like, yes, you know, I heard, you know, saying you told me your story. And I was like, wow, that really touched me. And it touched me to know that I, you know, had an impact on someone's life.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So are you comfortable sharing any little part of that story that inspires people, or?
Yes, I could say that basically with my story, is like I came from a family, a single mother, all these siblings. It's like it's a really struggle, and I will say that, you know, back then, just going through a lot of things were done to me as a little child that shouldn't have been done. I lost my brother at, you know, him at his age of 16.
Wow.
Just ripping, you know, just going all over the place, jumping from here to here, been let down, you know, but regardless of whatever, I'm not destroyed, I'm still standing strong. So I use everything in my life to really, as a motivation to get where I need to go. And even sometimes I want to give up, wanted to commit suicide here and there, but I was like, you know what, different mentors was like, okay, you know what, this is what you need to do, go to college. I was fighting all the time in the streets, so I had a coach who basically took me off the streets, and it was like, okay, you know what, you know, this is what you need to do. You need to change your attitude. You know, you have, I don't know what you're mad at or whatever, but you have so much hatred in you and you need to let it go and change yourself. So I'm like, I don't want to go to college. It's not for me or whatever. And then looking at all these young parents, you know, having kids and stuff. And it was like, you know, you got to stop doing what you're doing and stuff. So I'm like, okay. So when I look and you're like, you're not the only one going through it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. It took a while. It took
what a great feeling, though, to say, I can stop.
Yes.
You know, because that's the freedom.
Right.
That's the moment of freedom.
And a lot of people, it's like, well, you know what? This is my past. This is what I'm going to do. So it's like, you know what? You can't let your past be an excuse of why you can't accomplish a lot of things in life.
That's right. So, Sydney.
What I learned from Spark Inside is self. That a lot of things you go through is because of yourself. Like, say you trip and fall. You can be angry at the ground for scarring you up, or you can just get up and put a Band-Aid on it and go about your day.
Yeah.
One thing I learned about is stress. Through high school, you stress about everything, tests, being first in the lunch line so you won't have to spend 40 minutes in the line and not have time to eat. Small things like that. I learned that stress comes from you, and that if you stress about something, it won't make the situation better. It'll actually make it worse. So if you think about the glass being half full, that life will be so much prettier to you, and you're not a victim in every situation you go through. My story is of abstinence. I went to Spark Inside, I decided to practice abstinence at 12. So I've been in it for a long time, you know. It's a long journey, and it's very tempting to do what the crowd does. And like I tell my friends sometimes, I'm like, I wouldn't recommend that life for anybody. Like, I mean, I would recommend it, but it's very hard, and you have to be strong-willed. You can't be easily shifted or moved. One thing from Spark Inside is everything is, you know, you have to think about what you're doing to yourself, and part of what you're doing to yourself is your mind is what gets you feeling a certain way. So I felt that I should be abstinent, and I have friends who thought they should be abstinent as well. But then they go and, you know, they commit the act, and then they let it go. But it's all in their thought. They figure it was good this time, you know, so I'm going to continue doing it. But my thing about it is you don't want to resent yourself. If you resent yourself, your life won't be any better than it is now. You'll actually have a more miserable life. So my strength and abstinence comes from my own mind, my own self, because I've learned to love myself for who I am, and I've learned to identify who I am, and I'm still learning who I am. But this journey is about finding who I am before I let anyone else come in and join me without me knowing who I am and what I am subjective to. So.
That's a beautiful story. That's wonderful. So, Carlene, I overheard you saying that you want to be a teacher.
Yes.
That's kind of that's a big journey from somebody who didn't even want to go to school.
Yeah.
So, how did that come to be in your thinking that you decided now I really think school is a good idea?
Well, I was first introduced to this program that I've been part of throughout my high school years when I was in middle school. So entering, you know, I just entered as whatever. I didn't take it as serious. Didn't know where it would take me either. Just knowing that the big part was they offered a scholarship, so I was like, okay, I have to try this out. Because, you know, I try to look into the future, but there were times I felt like giving up, or just like, you know, who really wants to be a teacher? Is not one of those popular fields or majors that everyone will just, you know. And so, but over time, you know, I just grew more and more to it, and through the experience of where we would intern or, you know, actually help out teachers from other schools throughout the program where they help us do that. And so that's something that just, you know, I had to like open my eyes up and see it's not that bad, or I have to give it a try and find a passion for it within it, because I do want to be a teacher, but it wasn't always something that I had as a first option. And I guess Spark Inside helped me with that too, because, you know, just going through the program, I felt like there was really times I just really didn't want to be in it. Part of it, I just wanted to leave the school. I don't care about the program, but I had to think about my thought. You know, I used to think that, oh, my students are going to talk about me, or I'm not going to make a lot of money. But it was way more to it than that. It wasn't about the money, and it's not about the students, but the ones you do impact will have a difference in their lifestyles. And that it would be for me that no matter if I'm making the money or not, my passion, or to know that I'm successful and I do have a career. So I'm excited by this point. You know, I do want to see how life's going to be as a teacher, and being back in the education field or just in the school environment, that's going to be fun. So
yeah. So do you kind of see a way in which this exposure to Spark Inside and your understanding of how our thinking works is going to affect your teaching?
Yes, well, actually, we're going to begin having training for whoever wants to join to actually be a mentor. So that's going to be great, because that's like, you're not a teacher, but you're mentoring at the same time, you know, standing in front of class, a room full of students, younger minds that you have to educate, or, you know, it's also about the feedback, because I always remember how Ms. Callie and Ms. Porter mentioned that mentoring is not just like, you know, who you're mentoring, but they can be a mentor to you as well. So I like the back and forth, how it's like you get both sides of it. So it really has a lot of connections to being a teacher. So
So are you now? So you're going to be mentoring even before you get into teaching. You're going to be mentoring. I
hope so.
In this
that's
program.
what we're leading to right now.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. And I think there's really a lot of strength. I'm curious what you think, but it seems like all of you were affected by other young people who thought this was a good idea, you know, or you've affected other people. I think there's a lot of strength in that peer relationship. You know, it's not these two strange old ladies coming in and doing the program. It's like she could be one of us.
Yeah, it was nice to just, it was during our lunch period. So, that's one of the times where you just like want to just chill for the day, after being in class and, being focused in work. And you get that one time to eat and just, be with all your friends. Yeah. But like, it was nice to see that our friends, who were in the same room trying to, do the same thing. And then like going through the program, it was really nice. So.
Yeah. So how did it affect, as you started to feel more confident and have a better understanding of yourselves and so on, how did it affect your lives outside of school? What started to change for you? I got a little glimpse of it with you and your sister, but.
Just small things, like on the way in here, a little birdie whispered in my ear and told me that my skirt was short. And I was just talking about stress, and I was like, this is not something that I'm gonna let ruin my attitude because my skirt may not be to your liking. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it go because getting angry at you telling me how you feel is not gonna do anything for me. It's gonna make me angry with myself, and it's gonna make me have an ugly outlook on life, and people look at me and because your attitude shows in your skin and your demeanor, the way you hold yourself. So people will be like, oh, what's wrong with her? And I don't want people to be like, she has a bad attitude or she's a negative seed and I don't want her. And one thing about it is I want to be a positive influence on people. Being a positive influence is great to me. I had this one kid in band. I did a solo in jazz band for a state competition.
What, an instrument or you sing?
Clarinet.
Oh, clarinet?
Yes, I was the only clarinet. And I had a solo, and I like speaking, but playing my instrument in front of many people by myself is something that I had to face as a fear, a phobia. Yeah. So I got up, I had to stand up, and I played my instrument for a good 30 seconds. And I'm that type of person that when it happens at the right time, it's the best. Yeah. But in rehearsals, it's terrible. Yeah. So we listened to a recording, and then one of my friends, he's a trumpet player, he was like, that's the best clarinet playing I've heard in my entire life. I'm like, and he listens to professional jazz, and I was like, I feel very honored. I was almost moved to tears. I was like, my ministry, my helping people is through music. I want to help people through the arts. So him telling me that I helped him and influenced him to continue on his musical journey helped me and made me want to continue.
That is a beautiful story. That's wonderful.
I was so nervous. I was shaking.
Oh yeah, yeah. That first time when you perform is always a shocker. And how about you?
I would say the effect for me was after getting like the feedback from the ladies in Spark Inside, it really helped me to open up more. So when I went out for college at FAMU, I was like willing to help any and everyone. And I accept, everyone for who they are, didn't judge them or nothing. So I kind of looked at myself as a mentor to those like 35-year-olds who comes and like, okay, well, I have this situation. I'm like, well, I should be coming to you, So, but, it was, I really appreciate, everybody come to me. And just before I left this summer, he came to me and he was like, I really enjoyed you, having you as a friend. You're very humble, down to earth, and I learned a lot from you. And he was like, I want to keep in touch, and you really helped me. And everybody I did help, basically passed the class, and everybody came to me. So I feel like it's a blessing because I'm like, wow, like I did not know that. I wasn't really trying, but I'm glad that I did have this impact, and that's something I want to go further with in life.
Yeah. So how has your life changed in terms of outside of school?
Well, I'm controlling my anger more with situations. Like, I used to get mad all the time and take my anger out on people sometimes and stuff. But when I learned that you have to think about what you're doing before you start your actions, that really helped me because people used to always tell me, you have an anger problem. Yeah. And now everybody just be like, you just the sweetest thing.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. In a million years, I would never have guessed that was that was the problem.
But yeah, that really changed me because now that I see that people are really starting to help me more and wanting to be a part of my life more, it's really helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that whole issue of anger is such a part of all young people growing up. I mean, it's just people have to learn how to face anger, and it's always struck me as funny that so many people are always trying to teach you how to manage your anger, because in the long run that you're still angry.
Yeah.
You still have to experience it. And that's, for me at least, when I got involved in this work, I had the same thing. I was angry about a lot of things, and I suddenly realized I'm doing it. Nobody's making me angry. I'm making myself angry thinking about what other people are doing. But that's just all, that was such a freeing experience for me, and I'm sure it probably shocked your friends.
Yeah.
Who were trying to, and did you find that people were teasing you and trying to see if they could?
No, because sometimes I still get my little ways.
Yeah.
It's got it.
So how do people, like, in your families and everything, feel about this? Are they enthused about this program? Are they do they understand what it's meant to you and where you're going to go with it?
My father, he really liked that I'm inside the group, because I told him, because with my dad, I can't talk to him about everything. I can talk to Miss Callie and Miss Kim about.
Yeah.
And also Miss Alicia Edwards, I can talk to her about anything.
Yeah.
So that group, it really helped me, because stuff that I want to talk about my dad with, I can't, because a dad will be like,
yeah,
he's like a man.
Yeah.
So you can't get his point of view and everything. You have to really get it from a woman's point of view sometimes.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
That really helped me.
So it's a big relief to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a relief to him, because he'd be like, I don't know. He just look at me like, I don't know, ask your grandma. So that really helped me with that.
I have a younger sister, so for her, she goes to Middleton High School, and so she's just hoping this program makes it reach there. And for me, it's just it gives me a opportunity to set an example for her, and she's seen the change in me, because she even shares that with me, wow, she never think I'll be able to control this, through whatever situation I'm going through, to how to manage it, or the whole thought process, how okay, it don't have to turn out this way. And so for her, it made me feel good to know that I'm helping my own sister, or look what I'm setting an example for her. So.
Yeah, that's great.
I would tell my mom about the program, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I met Miss Kim briefly one day. I was helping her with something."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh well, I really like the program, and I would always go past the room, even if it was an off Thursday, and just see if they were in there, just by luck, see if they were in there.
In case they happen to show up.
Yeah, oh, surprise.
Yeah.
But my mom really likes it now that she's actually been introduced to what we actually talk about in the program, and how it helps us, and how we should apply it to our everyday lives, not just to certain moments. So it helps with our relationship too.
Yeah. So you feel like it brought you closer to your mom?
Well, we've always been close, but I would get mad at the silliest things, and she would think she still thinks I'm mad at some things, but I'm quick to let things go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not even gonna stress about it. That's just my thing. That's my thing. I'm not gonna stress about it. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
With me, my family is they're surprised.
Yeah.
Because from who I was and who I am today is a huge difference.
Yes.
And to this day, my grandmother, she's like, "I'm so proud of you. I'm just so proud of you. I'm just keep praying and keep praying."
Yeah.
And she said, continue to do what you're doing, because I didn't think, to be honest, that you were gonna make it this far. And it's it's kind of sad to think that.
Yeah.
But it's I'm amazed that for her to see that I'm actually doing good, especially my mother. And we have, came close to over the years with, the help of Miss Kim, Miss Callie, to come to me. It's well, you have one mother, one father. And it's okay, I understand. So, my mom, she's really excited for me, and she helping me and keep pushing me too, because usually she wasn't that type to push me. But now she see that, a lot of things has changed, and she's also, getting advice from other people, and I come to her and talk to her. So it's now I can talk to her about anything. We have this open relationship now, and I'm very excited for it, and she's very happy for me too.
Well, that is exciting.
Yes.
That's a big step in a young girl's life, is that transition to when you and your mom can talk about everything.
Right.
Yeah. So as you think about the program in the school and the possibilities where it could go from where it is, like, have you got an idea of like what you would like to see happen? Would you like to see it go for younger children, or how do you see it playing out as an asset to children throughout the system? Because right now it's in a very small, just a couple of schools.
I would like to see it in elementary, middle schools, and high schools. I would like to be a part of it, help mentor. I'm actually doing the mentor thing with Carlene and everyone, so hopefully I can become a mentor. But mainly in elementary schools, because that's where a lot of our thought process begins.
Where it starts off.
Yes.
And, you know, once we have those negative seeds in us, they start to plant. Like, if a child is told that they're, you know, never going to succeed, they're never going to do right. My cousin was like that. People always told her she was going to fail. And she took a year down here with me and my mom, and we just threw positive energy at her and told her, you don't have to be what other people make you. You are who you make yourself. So if I see, and she was in 6th grade, so she just came from elementary school, and this has been fed through to her as a child. And after so many years, you start to believe it. So if it starts in elementary school, and kids learn that you are your own light, you are your own positive energy, you are your own salvation in a sense, to get out of certain situations, then a lot of problems that happen through middle school and high school wouldn't happen. So
That's a good point. You have thoughts on that subject?
Right, yes. Like, I'm always say I'm just like the little kid she just described, you know, when I was growing up. And, you know, but there was hope, you know, when I joined Spark Inside, and that really, like, completely changed my life, like, honestly. So, as she said, yeah, we should start, you know, around elementary, because that's basically where their thought process, you know, starts, and then going to middle school and high school, because you never know, it may be too late, or just some kids just don't listen these days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That is one thing about elementary school children. They're more of a captive audience.
Right.
Yeah. So what grade level do you want to teach, Carlene?
I actually want to teach high school.
Uh-huh.
Because, I don't know, I just feel comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Sort of because I'm a little lazy, so I don't want to run. I don't really want to run around little kids or whatever. I've experienced that, so I can say that based off my experience.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stick to high school for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now, do you think? I mean, obviously, this is very valuable in a high school setting, and it really helps people with as they mature, their thinking and the kinds of things they think about changes. But would you recommend it for elementary school students as well?
Of course, I think because you know that's where the foundation begins, or at that young age. So the earlier you start, the better. So.
I think so too in elementary, because I have an older brother, and since he was in middle school, it started in middle school, he was always disrespectful. Like, he didn't listen to my mom, nothing. He stressed my mom out, like stressed her. And now he's in a situation that he can't get out of by himself, and he needs my mom. And I think it kind of rubbed off on my little brother, because my little brother is taking after his steps and trying to run the streets. But me, being the older sister that I am, I try and discipline him, because my mama, she can't deal with the stress from him and the stress from
the older brother
too. Yeah. So I really think it should start in elementary.
Yeah, that's it's interesting to me how watching, I have a grandson, so watching him grow up, I've really seen, because my daughter has been teaching him this since he was born, basically. And he really hasn't gone through a lot of stuff. I mean, he's in high school now, but he hasn't gone through a lot of stuff that a lot of his friends have gone through. Because to give you a little story from him, he had a girlfriend for a brief period of time, this girl that really liked him. And then I asked him, you know, I didn't see her. I saw her for a while, and then I didn't see her. And I said, so whatever happened? He said, it was just way too much drama. It wasn't upsetting or anything. It was just way too much drama, so he wasn't into the drama. And I thought, gee, that's a good thing to know when you're in middle school.
Right.
So what if you were able to, let's say we put you in charge of the world, and you were able to tell educators, and there will be educators from all over the world who will see this program, you know, how would you suggest to them that they take a look at this, and what would you like, what communication would you like to make to them?
To make a difference, and like, it's your spark inside, we all have it, and just, it's about finding spark, because I feel like it stands for anything, talent, or, you know, whatever great ability you have within you, and just letting it come out and not letting other negative factors hold it back.
Mm-hmm.
I would say to just continue to encourage and support the kids that they already are trying to reach out to, and to do it from the heart, because we can always tell when someone's there for an ulterior motive. And we got that, you know, authentic and sincere vibe from Miss Callie and Miss Kim, and with Miss Edwards, you know. Even though I just met her today, she's sincere. But just to, you know, like they say, keep it real with us, you know. Let us know that you have a bit of life, you know, that you've gone through. Give your students your story so that they know that you're not just someone trying to preach something that you don't live. So just to continue to encourage the kids to move forward, because you're moving forward. That's all I would say to them.
Yeah, that's good advice though, because it's true, if you don't live it, you can't see it. I had a funny experience with that. I did a program in a high school back in a city in Morgantown, West Virginia, where I lived before, and the teachers were there to discipline, because it was in a big sort of auditorium type room, and so they had assigned teachers to discipline the kids, and then the kids were very well behaved. In my program, they were not. They weren't causing me any trouble, so all the teachers left because they saw it as a time to have a break. And one of the kids went down to the teacher's lounge and knocked on the door and said, "You need this just as much as we do. You come back here." It was so cute. I didn't know that had happened. This little girl excused herself, and I thought she was going to the restroom or something. She brought her teacher back. Anyway.
Just to piggyback what she said, I would say that at this time we really need some teachers or mentors that will show us that they really care, and that, like she said, who've been through it. And yes, we're gonna have kids gonna be out there testing mentors, like, to see if they're real or not. But when we see those who's gonna sit there and stay there with us no matter what, and keep encouraging us and not, you know, judging us, then that's when we can relate to them even more. And that's what Miss Callie and Miss Kim, you know what I'm saying, were. They sat there and they related to us. They told us what was what, never sugarcoat anything with us. And they laugh and giggle. So, you know, that gave us an opportunity to really come out and express how we feel, like, because when you with your parents and family, you can't really say anything. You don't want to listen to them because you be with them 24/7. Like, you know, your whole entire life. So it's kind of hard to really, like, okay, your parents can sit here and say, well, don't do this, and then the same person, like, outside of your family say the same thing, and you're going to listen to them more and listen to your family, because that's somebody feel like, well, they probably know what they're talking about, but your parents be like, right? But your parents like, well, I said the same thing. So, yes, that's what I would say, though.
I think every parent in the world would probably say that it's easier for them to influence other people's children.
Right, and it is.
Influence their own. And that makes sense. You know, you're right. It's just they're the people that are always around.
Right.
What would you say to educators if you were trying to encourage them to take this on?
I'll tell them to go for it. Tell them just listen. If you don't like it, just listen. Maybe you'll get something out of it. Maybe you can take something and run with it. That's all.
You gotta start somewhere, you know, that spark inside, you know what I'm saying? You gotta start somewhere.
Like we were talking about earlier, you start from the bottom and go to the top.
Right. You gotta make the sacrifice.
So, and so just as we're sort of winding down the program, if you want to talk to me a little bit about when you think about that spark inside, what is it? You know, how would you, if you had let's say somebody walked into the studio right now and they'd heard you talking about spark, sparkle, you know, this the way we create things. Like, how would you explain to them, what is this spark? What does it mean to you?
I'll tell them it's where you find yourself. It's where you, as I should say, redeem yourself. If you're going through a lot, it's where you can find yourself, where you can be welcome and just be loved all over again.
Wow.
I feel like when you feel like you have nothing left, you know, so you just gotta find that little spark within yourself to like make a change. So.
And what do you think where do you think that rises?
Like, to anything, basically. Be anything you want to be. But, you know what I'm saying, it could be just a little, you know, it's there, but you just got to find it.
Yeah.
You got to search for it.
And I think that's to me, what I hear you saying about Miss Callie and Miss Kim is that they always knew it was there.
Right.
Yeah. And they never, you know, you can't talk them out of it.
Right.
Well, that's important. Yeah.
I would say that the spark inside is that small inkling of hope. It's your own positive reinforcement. It's what keeps you chugging along every day. When you wake up, what encourages you to take that first step to face the world again. What keeps you from hiding under your covers and not wanting to see the world.
Yeah.
I think the spark inside is what helps those with rags to riches, you know, redeem themselves. And it's that dream, like you feel like you can't accomplish, but if you just take that extra step to accomplish it, it's that positive reinforcement behind that just makes you feel like, yes, I've done it, and you just continue with that inkling of hope. It doesn't even have to be the biggest bit of hope, but if you go with that hope, you'll just gain more positivity and your life will be a whole lot better.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I agree with everything they said, and I actually have my own spark inside moments where I'm in front of the mirror and I think I'm Beyonce with my hairbrush, and I just know I got it. Like, that's where I find my hope. I'm just like, I got this. Yeah.
I think that's great. Why not?
It's also a moment. You got to have those moments.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I like that it's just a girls group, because when you got girls and boys together, when you want to talk about girly stuff, the boys be like, oh, I don't want to hear that, or that's too much, you don't need to be talking about that, you know. And then, like, sometimes some of the girls will probably be seeing the cute boy and only come to the group to sit by that boy and won't listen to really what they're trying to tell you, trying to change you. So I'm kind of glad that it's a girls group, because you can really sit there and listen and pay attention and really get something from it.
Sisterhood.
Sisterhood. Yeah.
I like that it teaches you that, you know, like what she was saying, you go into the class and meet up with a guy, but if you're really listening to what they're saying, you'll realize that the guy shouldn't be your refuge. He should just be the icing on the cake if you really are looking for a guy. You don't want a guy who makes you feel like something you're not. You need to know who you are before you try to go find. A guy is not a refuge. It's, you know, it should just be treated as, you know, another step in your positive life, not something to mask your negative life.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And it's the same thing is true with everything external to us. If you think about it, it's whether it's a job or a place or an outfit or a hairstyle, no matter what it is, it's really nothing out there that can fix you. But if you feel good about yourself, you can enjoy all kinds of things out there, and just they become, like you say, the frosting on the cake. So that's a wonderful thing. Well, I want to thank you, ladies, very, very much. This has just been wonderful. I've so enjoyed talking with you, and I thank you so much for sharing from your hearts with the audience, and I hope that a lot of people get inspired by having the opportunity to hear you. And I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Thank you all very much for being with us for another edition of Innate Health.